Hey everybody, it's Mike Young with Denise. I am a lifestyle nutritionist with Forever Young Nutrition Coaching, and we are here to give you our review and comment on the plant-based health news. And we are out here in the rain because we're doing our walking. We always do our walking. You always get your 30 minutes at least of daily vigorous aerobic exercise, and even in the rain, take an umbrella like we do and get your vitamin D. You're still getting vitamin D, right? Because you don't want to supplement with vitamin D. Only supplement with vitamin B12. All right, Denise has got an article for us. What is the article?
Drinking milk increases prostate cancer risk for men by 60%, study finds. A new study finds that high dairy milk consumption in men substantially increases risk for developing prostate cancer, a hormone-responsive disease.
Okay, prostate cancer. So we're only talking about men. We did one recently. We were talking about colorectal cancer. That dealt with men and women. This, of course, can only be in men, right?
Right.
Or can it be in women, or is it just more?
No, women don't have a prostate, but
Okay.
there is a link between dairy.
You know, I didn't graduate from medical school.
there is a link between dairy and breast cancer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the women, it's a breast. I say that's a good rule of thumb. Men get breast cancer too, but the big cancers from dairy, I'd say, are prostate in men and breast in women.
Yeah. Men who regularly consume dairy, particularly milk, compared to those who abstain from it, could be at approximately a 60% higher risk of developing
60%?
prostate cancer, according to a new study.
That's huge.
Published in the scientific journal, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. The study was conducted by researchers at Loma Linda University,
California,
who were interested in investigating links between diet and prostate cancer.
Okay, well, we already know from the China study, Dr. T. Colin Campbell says that animal protein causes cancer. We should have mentioned that in the last one, but specifically dairy, I think he talks a lot about, and casein.
Because of the casein in the dairy.
So what do you got? What's the rest of the article say?
Since 2001, researchers have been monitoring the health of 28,737 Seventh-day Adventist men in the United States and Canada. The cohort study examined the dietary habits of these men over a period of 5 years and monitored their health throughout. Researchers used the state cancer registries to find that at the end of the study, 1,254 participants had developed prostate cancer.
How many was the total?
So 28,737, 1,200 had cancer. So that's
10%. I think we saw kind of 10%. We saw kind of 10% with the colorectal as well.
Right.
I think when we read that article.
Yeah. The researchers analyzed participants based on their intake of non-dairy calcium and compared them based on the amount of dairy they consumed. The study found that men who consumed 430 grams of dairy per day, which equates to 1 3/4 cups of milk, faced a 25% increased risk of prostate cancer compared to men who consumed 20.2 grams of dairy per day, or about a half cup of milk per week.
That's easy. No, I mean, I'd be way on the high end of that. Going back to when I used to consume dairy.
Yeah, we used to be told we had to drink a glass at every meal.
Yeah, I would be.
The other products that you eat, like cheese and coffee creamer, those all add up too to your dairy consumption.
True. Yep. Ice cream.
So the type of milk, full fat versus low fat, was not linked to significant variation in prostate cancer risk. Researchers also noted that calcium intake from non-dairy sources did not play a role in prostate cancer risk, suggesting that the substances other than calcium in dairy are involved. Our findings add important weight to other evidence associating dairy products rather than non-dairy calcium as a modifiable risk factor for prostate cancer. Gary Fraser, the study's principal investigator and professor at Loma Linda University School of Medicine and School of Public Health, said in a statement.
All right, so they are not saying exactly what's causing the cancer, but they're saying that the fat content of the dairy products has no bearing on that. So it probably is the protein. They're not saying that. That's what Dr. Campbell says is protein.
Yeah, I think Dr. Campbell found that 2% milk was worse for you than the full fat milk.
Oh, actually, yeah, because it has more protein in it as a percentage of the actual food. That's why.
The bad stuff is more concentrated.
Higher concentration of protein. Yeah, lower concentration of fat. Okay, I got it. Yep.
Fraser explained.
Going up a hill. Sorry.
Dr. Fraser explained. Yeah, I'm running out of breath. Dr. Fraser explained that one possible factor that links dairy consumption to higher prostate cancer risk is that the illness is hormone responsive. Since up to 75% of lactating cows are pregnant, presence of hormones in milk could be what increases prostate cancer risk. The study also notes that previous studies have linked the consumption of dairy and other animal products to a higher blood level of insulin-like growth factor, or IGF-1.
All right, well, could you hold on a second? You mentioned that 75% of lactating cows are pregnant because on these dairy farms, they're constantly trying to keep the cows pregnant so that, because they only produce milk for a certain period of time after the baby's born.
Yeah.
So they got to keep them pregnant, keep them pregnant, keep them pregnant. This doesn't matter what farm you're on. If it's a dairy farm, no matter what they do with their cows, most of them take the babies away, which is really bad. We're not going to go into that in here, but it's bad. And I would say that I didn't even consider what might be going on in that cow's milk because the cow is also pregnant.
Yeah.
So that may be a factor here, like they're suggesting here in the article.
So the IGF-1s must be there to make the baby calf grow quickly to turn them into an 800-pound cow within a year. So that's what is thought to promote certain cancers.
Kick your cells into overdrive, basically, right?
Yeah. Another interesting factor in this study revealed that an incremental increase in dairy intake did not result in a corresponding rise in prostate cancer risk, but rather a curvilinear spike at certain levels. Curvilinear spike at certain levels. I did take statistics in college, which means that previous studies might have missed the link between dairy and prostate cancer because participants were already consuming more than 1 cup of milk per day. Most of the continuing increase in risk is done with by the time you get to 150 grams, about 2/3 of a cup of milk per day. Fraser said, it's almost as if some biological or biochemical pathway is saturated at about 2/3 of a cup of milk per day.
Interesting. Is that the article?
There's more.
A lot more?
A couple
I gotta hold this phone the whole time while we're walking.
The findings of this study are notably similar to a separate study the researchers published in 2020 that found a significant increase in breast cancer risk among women who consume dairy milk regularly. The parallels between our breast cancer in women paper a year ago and this paper relating to men are striking.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. I mean, I just from what I know about nutrition, I would think there's definitely, like we talked about earlier in this video, men prostate, right? Women breast.
Yeah, more research is needed, but if you think you're at a higher than average risk, consider the alternatives of soy, oat, cashew, and other non-dairy milks.
Well, that seems definitive enough for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to get prostate cancer. I stopped dairy in 2014, it's 2022, and I hope you have.
Yeah.
And if you're a guy out there and you're watching, that's very unusual. I'm glad you're here. Let me know when you stopped with your dairy. And if you haven't and you're thinking about it, maybe you will now, right? I mean, because men need help. And it's okay to be healthy if you're a man. It's okay to not be sick. And we don't want anybody to get sick or be, especially not prostate cancer like this article is talking about. If you want to know more about how to change your habits, guys, because that's what it's about, habit changing, you got to get my book, Live to 150 at liveto150.org. It's free. We talked, in the beginning of the book, we talk about the habit changes because, look, I mean, the information is clear. Listen to what Denise just said in that article. You just have to change your habits. So, anything else to add?
Nope, it's pretty easy.
All right, well, let us know in the comments any other questions you might have about this. Like the video if you got some value out of it, and of course, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next video.
Bye.
Bye. There's a man's truck back there. I gotta talk to him about prostate cancer.